What's about to happen to this young priest? He's about to get caught in the middle of the cosmic slop.
The point I'm trying to make, Your Eminence, is that this statue is a great work of art. It should be on display in our museum, along with other art treasures.
Blessed Virgin of Charity represents compassion and belongs in a church. If the people want to see it, they're welcome to our church.
Well, if your church were a little more accessible, I could see your point, Father Carlos, but who's going to travel all the way to the South Bronx just to see this statue?
People who live in the South Bronx.
Oh, Father Carlos, be reasonable.
I'm sure that Mr. Spivey is not insensitive to the needs of your parishioners. In fact, I'm sure that in exchange for the statue, the museum would be willing to make a donation to the capital fund of the Archdiocese. We maintain this funds for repairs and improvements on churches with the greatest need.
So the museum's donation will be earmarked for repairs in my church?
As I said, the donation will be made to the Archdiocese capital fund.
Then we have a deal?
Oh, yes. I'll have my office draw up the papers, and you can make the arrangements to pick up the statue.
Very good, Your Eminence.
Oh.
Father Carlos? This is for the best. I mean, the interest of the larger community is better served.
Why?
Mr. Spivey put it best. For the good of the larger community.
I assume the community we were primarily concerned with was the Catholic community. In this case, the people within my church.
Are you sure they are all Catholics?
Oh, I see what this is about. It's because of some of my parishioners' involvement with Santeria, isn't it?
Now, I have spoken to you about this before. The church will not tolerate pagan traditions and practices, yet you refuse to speak out against it in your sermons.
Santeria is the religion of their ancestors. It can be traced back through Puerto Rico, Cuba, and the Yoruba people of ancient Africa, before even the time of Christ.
Yes, and that is why our Lord sent down his only Son to save their heathen souls.
And they have accepted him. They keep their ancestors alive by combining their identities with our saints.
This is not acceptable. This is God's first commandment. Now they must choose whether they are pagans or Catholics.
All right. Call Halam Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah wa Chabah wa Hadar. All praises, honor, and glory be to Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah Ba'ashem Cha'achodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well of Yasha Allah. Peace and blessings to the faithful elect of Yasha Allah, which is Yasha Allah, which is to say Israel in Hebrew. Salaman Wabarakim Ha'aman Bachiyar. All right. The Wada Abba Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah forgive me to Cha'akodash to be able to come back with a lesson on hopefully something that could be edification, admonishment, reproof, defending the preaching of gospel, or prophecy. All right, I'm your brother Shariat Nawasa, and before I get going, I just want to say this lesson is only out to you so-called Native American Indians, so-called Negroes, and so-called Latinos, all so-called because you're actually the Israelites. All right. Without any more further ado, we're gonna go ahead and get into the lesson. And that's Latinos prove they are Jacob. All right. Latinos prove they're Jacob. Latinos prove they're Jacob. This might feature some. This is pretty much going into the Northern Kingdom. Israelites who are made up of are comprised of so-called Native American Indians and Latino people. Now, this is a film, right, that goes back, I think, to the 90s, titled Cosmic Slop. And as you can see, it went into some very revealing subliminal messaging that was placed in it, basically proving that, you know, Esau knows that these so-called Latinos, you know, people, which are the main people that were put under Catholicism due to the pacts made, as they just, you watch them just make with Esau, right, to worship a statue and etc. It's just a lot of twisted stuff, because they try to present it to you that, you know, basically Latino people came up with that, you know, when really that was forced upon them, you know, due to their falling away. But the subliminal messaging simply being that you're the Israelites and the Santa Maria and all of that is of pagan idolatry. And I mean, just listen. Listen to this conversation. Scriptures talk about that. You know, Jake always amongst, you know, so-called white man selling out. And that's really why no one knows that you're the Israelites on a wide scale, you know, so-called Latino people, because you sold out and you become heathen in your mindset, you know, but ultimately in your spirit, you prove yourself to be the children of God in the house of Jacob, right? Amongst with the so-called Negroes who are your brethren, and so among so-called Native American Indians, right? But you just as you just seen Esau, you know, they did their Masonic handshake in front of this Jake. This guy is definitely a Jake sitting there.
Father Carlos? This is...
And the scriptures tell you don't do that. We go ahead and get this real quick. It's gonna be real edifying, man. You're making yourself surety, you know, dealing with this heathen. We get it in Proverbs, like the 21st chapter. 23rd, please. Proverbs 23 and 1. When thou sittest to eat, it's talking to Israelites, when thou sittest to eat with a ruler, consider diligently what is before thee. So once again, when thou sittest to eat with a ruler, consider diligently what is before thee. Now, when you go back to, like, for example, Issachar, who are the so-called Mexicans, your flag of your so-called own country, your own so-called land, or whatever you want to call it, Mexico, which is not actually even pronounced Mexico, it's actually pronounced Mashaka, which sounds like Mashiach. And but that's another lesson. But anyway, it's your flag, that red, white, and green, is actually a symbol. It's a symbol that recognizes the pact that you made back in like the 1800s. I think it was like 1839 or something like that. 1800s somewhere, like the mid 1800s, and you sold out. The white representing the color of the pact, an agreement made. The red representing the color, and the green representing the color. The green representing freedom. The white representing your conversion to Catholicism. You know, because you sat with a ruler. And the ruler is who? Those that rule the earth right now. The earth has been given to the hand of the wicked. And that's the so-called white man. The man that goes and pillage and rob and murder every place he goes. You know how he conquered this land when you all were here. You know, you sat with him in the 1800s, and you didn't consider diligently what was before thee. And that ultimately came by bloodshed that he was shedding, you know, of you all. And pretty much you just got tired of it because that was the curses. That's found in the 28th chapter of Deuteronomy. He's going to send a fierce nation against you, you know, whose tongue you're not going to understand. He's going to fly swift as the eagle flieth, you know, and that's also that's more imagery or another symbol that's on your flag besides the white and which I just mentioned, which is the conversion to Catholicism. The red representing the blood shed of the war that you was going through with Hafton, being basically swooped down upon, you know, as if you were prey by the so-called white man whose symbol is an eagle. He swooped down on you just how the curse is said, right? So I might as well get it real quick as I'm going into it. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Deuteronomy 28:1. We got to do this the proper way. Deuteronomy 1:1. And it reads, "These be the words which Moses, or Mashah, spake unto all Israel." So the first thing that's said in this book, right, the first chapter of this book, the first verse is letting you know in context, this book is about the words that were spoken by Moses unto all Israel, all the Israelites. Deuteronomy 1:1. These be the words which Moses spake unto all Israel. All right, on this side, Jordan, in the wilderness, in the plain over against the Red Sea, between Paran and Tophel and Laban and Hazeroth and Dazah. Now, with that being said, let's jump back. So everything in this book was spoken to the Israelites. Let's see one of the things it says. It says, verse 49, Deuteronomy 28:49. We start at 15. It says, "But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord, which is Yahweh, thy God, which is thy power, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee." All right, now jumping back down. It says, verse 49, "The Lord, Yahweh, shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth." Now, you were the only people on what hemisphere? Found in one hemisphere, according to Christopher Columbus, the Western Hemisphere. These people came all the way from who was the Reconquista, right? Those what nation of people accomplished that act? Spaniards. Where is Spain located? The east. So let's read it again. Deuteronomy 28:49. "The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth." See that? So Yahweh shall bring a nation. That's a whole nother different people outside of Israelites. Against thee. Against who's the thee? Israelites, all Israel. From far. From the end of the earth. Why is it the end of the earth? Because at this in particular, he's speaking this to all Israel, but a certain portion of the Israelites will be on one end of the earth. And that's talking about the northern kingdom. So what nation came against so-called, but the only people that was discovered to be in the Western Hemisphere was so-called Latinos so-called Indians. So you're the Israelites. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from the end of the earth, right? Because you are at one end being the west. The other end, what's opposite of west? The east. We're going to pull it up on a map. It says, as swift as the eagle flieth. What's the symbol of the so-called white man just loves and adorns? The eagle, right? What represents what's the symbol of America, of the nation of America, right? The eagle. It says, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. You look up Luis Des Torres. Let's just go into it, man. We're going to go into this thing for real. So each part we just broke down, right? So this is the Western Hemisphere. Let me pull it up on the map. This would be one end of the earth. Because your directions is north, south, east, and west. All right? When you pull this up, you see nothing. If you want to look at this in a globe map, this side of your map you're looking at will be your so-called, see? First thing you see is so-called Latino countries, Mexico. These are the Americas. You see nothing left of these land masses because this is the end of the earth. So what's the opposite? So this is left, right? This would be west. This is the Western Hemisphere, as it say. What's right of that? The east. Who came and accomplished the Reconquista? The Spaniards. Where does that say? Spain. Where is that located? The Eastern Hemisphere. See that? Deuteronomy 28 and 48 and 49. The Lord, Yahweh shall, that's a prophecy, shall bring a nation. That's a complete different ethnicity of people. Right? Outside of Israelites. These be the words which Moses spake unto all Israel. So these are words he's telling Israel. Moses is telling this to Israel. He said, the Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far. The thee being you, Israel, all Israelites, from far, from the end of the earth. This is a future prophecy. This is not nothing that had happened at the point where he's telling them this, obviously. It says, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand, a nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young. Who does that sound like, man? Who does that sound like? See? This is a perfect. This is perfect. This is 100% perfect. Nothing. This is the end of the earth, the Western Hemisphere. Who are the people in these land masses? So-called Canada, so-called United States, so-called Mexico, so-called South America, and the islands in between, being Hispaniola, the little islands, aka the Caribbean, the so-called Latino nations, Indian nations, the Israelites. The Most High put this, he put you only over here so only you could claim fulfillment of this prophecy. Because you would go on to discontinue from your heritage that the Lord gave you. And I'm freestyling this right now. I got scriptures lined up, but going by the Spirit right now. Real quick, Jeremiah 17 and 4. It says, and thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee. And I will cause thee, being Israelites, to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. Because you came over here from serving a captivity when you were still in Israel. And it was so bad you left. You pissed the Father off so bad you left with doing the things that's being brought out in that video, that movie. What they deem today as pagan worship, which is idol worship, which is against what the Most High told only the Israelites not to do. Right? He said, for ye, being Israel, because we were the only people given his law, you were the only people given his law, so-called Latinos, right? Which you're going to get edification on that. For ye have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever. That's for a long period of time. So there you go, man. Let's get a better map real quick. See? One end of the earth to the other. See that? Split in half. They came from the right side. Spain, Esau came from the right side. This guy conquered all these lands. He came from Europe, which is where you would have Spain. And he came, so that's right. That's one complete opposite end of the earth that's far. He traveled all the way on a boat to be used as the instrument to inflict these curses that were spoken to your ancestors. You know, and by the Spirit, you are your ancestors. Now, so that's pretty much that part. Let's get Easter now. Just to make sure we clear. Because I did a lesson on, the Northern Kingdom, but Esau deleted the first page and I wasn't able to recover that lesson. So by the Spirit, we'll go in. All right. Now let's get the Eastern. Boom. See that? That's the Eastern. So all these countries will be considered Eastern. And towards your left right here will be, and technically if you want to be real, Esau started in above Egypt in that red little dot right there. That's Edom. But let's get where the timeline of the history taking place. See if we can see it. There it is right there. So this is the Eastern Hemisphere. He came from Portugal, Spain. He traveled all the way left to the other side of the earth. And he came and put a hurting on you, So that's pretty much that. You could do your own research on this, man. One end of the earth, and this is everything together. And the earth is not flat. All right. So there you go, man. That's the best way to see it. How it was just shown. Breaking up. This will be the end you are on, and Esau, the nation that you don't know, he came to the left where you were at. He came from the right to the left where you were at. So left would be west, and right would be east. So he came from the east because that's where Esau started off at, just like you. Nobody ever, think about the history, nobody ever dwelt over here. That's why Christopher Columbus so-called discovered it. But you were here. He stole the land from you and the rest of the so-called Indians. And he gave you all different byword names. Let's jump up and get that real quick. And I'm going to go back and get the edification on this flag. Just for, it says Deuteronomy 28:48. So that's one thing the Lord had Moses tell all Israelites. So you happen to fit a big event a big event like that happened as far as Spaniards coming from the one complete side of the opposite side of the earth to another complete opposite side of the earth, right? To conquer a people, right? And to oppress them until this day. That fits a lot with a curse written upon the Israelites, who were also told they were actually going to go off and then serve their enemies. And, they will have a nation who fly like an eagle and who speaks a complete different language than them, right? Come and put a hurting on you. And he's not going to show favor to the young or the old. Now, when you look at this this map, not this map, this flag, what do you see? You see a damn eagle on it, man. Right in the middle. And you see 3 colors. They say the flag of Mexico was adopted in 1821. So that should tell you right there, you need to go do your own homework. The right, being the red, represents the bloodshed. What's in the middle, that lets you know Esau was here. But the white representing the Catholicism that he came and converted you all into. Because you were still keeping some customs, which we're going to bring out in a second. Right? And then to the left, that represents the freedom that you will be granted if you did these things. So the right symbolizes the bloodshed of the wars you were having, trying to fight all the years against not selling out. But you couldn't beat Esau because it was your fate, because you're the Israelites. And he's the Most High sword. Let's get it real quick. Because Esau is known in the Bible, so-called white man is known in the Bible as the most high sword. Let's bring it all home real quick. Job 9:24. I clicked 23, but slocky. It says, the earth is Job 9:24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Of the who? Of the wicked. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Who runs the earth right now? Who has their hand on everything? What nation of people? What man has his hand on everything? So-called white man. He's the wicked then, because who's ever ruling the earth right now, it says, is the wicked. So who has a monopoly on the earth and controls the resources, poisons the air, dominates all the land masses, has everyone under his influence? His federal note is the currency, I believe is the world Federal Reserve currency. Is you can spend $1 anywhere. The U.S. dollar can be spent anywhere. Who runs the U.S.? So-called white man. This is the head. And you got so-called white people, scattered. They're not scattered, but they're ruling in more places than just America. So they have a monopoly on the earth completely, man. So-called white man. And he's actually Esau, who God hates according to the Bible. Job 9:24, because it's simply about Latinos prove they are Israelites. And these simple ways we're bringing out. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. So that's it. Whoever runs the earth is known as the wicked right now. So-called Negroes do not run the earth. So-called Latinos do not run the earth. So-called and Negroes are not Africans. We're Shemitic, just like Native American Indians and just like Latinos. Latinos don't run the earth. Negroes, so-called Negroes don't run the earth. All these people are so-called because we're actually the Israelites, and so-called Native American Indians don't run the earth. Chinese people, so-called, who are actually Moab, they don't run the earth. Japanese people don't run the earth, who are actually Ammon. Arab people don't run the earth. They're oppressed, which is why they're always pissed off, wanting to bomb and kill and die in the name of Allah, bugged out. That would be Ishmael. actual Hamites, actual Africans are not running the earth. So-called fake Jews, so-called Jews, fake Jews, who are more so-called white people, who are actually Edomites. They're the chief house of the Edomites. They run the earth. The Rothschilds, that's a so-called white man. Rockefellers, that's so-called white man. Etc., man. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. So that's what this flag represents. You made a deal with the devil, and you sold out, and he conquered you. And if you notice the color in the middle, what color is that? Red, white, and blue. Out of there. You was defeated. And this is an eagle. That's exactly what that is. So that's that. This spiritual right here. 26, it says, they are passed away as the swift ships, as the eagle that hasted to the prey. What is that? The prey. The eagle that got his prey. And we just getting started. This is not nothing. Like I said, this is all about spirit right now. Deuteronomy 28:37. So he gave you a freedom in your own so-called little country by you selling out. That's how this flag came about. It was adopted. It's not even real land. You're not from here. You're not from these places. You're not a Mexican. Everything you know was adopted ideology, philosophy given to you by the so-called white man. He brainwashed you. It says the basic design is taken from the French tricolor flag and the red. He gave you this dang flag, man. And now he calls you a Mexican. He calls you a Puerto Rican. He calls you a dang, not saying these are the same people. Well, they are the same people, but not the same tribe. All these bywords he gave us. Puerto Ricans, Negroes, Indians, dang, Dominicans, so forth. Haitians. But we only talking about the Northern Kingdom. So we're going to stick with the Northern Kingdom. Argentinians, Colombians, Chileans, North American and Native American Indians, Seminole Indians, Mexicans, Dominicans, Puerto Ricans. It's crazy, man. Let's read it. Deuteronomy 28:37. And thou, these be the words Moses spake unto Israel. This is what this whole book is about. The words Moses spake unto only Israelites. Curses. If they didn't keep the commandments and not be pagans. That's just their videos telling you. Pagans, right? Deuteronomy 28:37. And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword. What is a byword? Salakia. It's Shanayana. Shanayana. Sharp word. Sharp. Shanayana. Sharp word. Cutting word. It's a taunt. It's a guide. They're taunting you. You're a Mexican. What is that? They telling your flag not even yours. And then on it, they got their own colors on it. Conquered you, man. How, if it's red, white, and green, why is it red, white, and blue on here? With their symbol on it, choking a dang snake out. This is crazy, man. This is crazy. And thou shalt become an astonishment. We're going to get into how you astonishment. A proverb and a byword among all nations. You're mesmerizing. When they see you're wasted. You go to California, so-called Latino people strung out on crack, sleeping in the middle of the street. In the ghettos. Hustling, Jake. Brown as hell. Many different sizes. Next is so-called Negroes. Well, them your brothers. Judah and Issachar got the same dad and mom. But it's only about the dad. So that's all that matters. But just to even prove a point, or even further point, doing what Judah do, hanging with Judah. If you ain't hanging with Judah, you just with Issachar. And if you ain't hanging, and if you don't hang with Judah, because you probably hate him. That's another curse put upon the Israelites. Hating your brother, I being evil towards your brother, calling them crazy Morenos, calling us crazy Morenos. Curses, man. Talking about how you hate Puerto Ricans. No, you're same people. Crazy. You both speak Spanish, but a different dialect. It's crazy, man. So ruin, astonishment, desolate, waste. Go look at the neighborhoods that so-called Mexican people live in, so-called Puerto Ricans live in, Dominicans, Argentinians, Colombians, Guatemalans, all so-called Chileans, Native American Indians. All right? Because this is using Issachar as a which is fitting because Issachar we have as being the last tribe on the chart. So this fake heritage that's not yours. The Father said you're gonna discontinue from the heritage that He gave you. He gonna cause you serve your enemies, and that's what you're doing. That's what this flag represents. You know. And some Mexicans do go back to heathens, but majority of you Israelites. There's an Israelite right there with this false pride. She don't even destruction, bugged out. Eve. Man, this damn devil, he thought he can really get away with this forever. So one more time, Deuteronomy 28:37, and thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations where the Lord shall lead thee. So there you go, man. Thou shalt carry much seed out into the field, and shall gather but little in, for the locust shall consume it. You know, our Latino people heavy in agriculture. And it's terrible. It's so little. Your fields are cursed when you try to plant and garden. You know, it's ridiculous, man. And this is how you know you're the Israelites. You're cursed, man. Because one of the main customs of the Israelites is agriculture. That's why the scriptures talk about vineyards and seed and planting so much. See, 39, thou shalt plant vineyards and dress them, but thou shalt neither drink of the wine. But thou shalt neither drink of the wine, nor gather the grapes, for the worm shall eat it. So it don't matter what you do, how much you try to hustle, get your own land. That's why you want to escape Mexico. You have your own land and you want to escape it. It's crazy. Because he left you with nothing. This is disrespectful. You're Israelites. You're the children of Yasha Allah. That's how you say Israel in Hebrew. Yasha Allah. Princes of power. But now you a bunch of damn coons and brown noses. Estados, Unidos, Mexicanos. This is crazy, man. I mean, this is crazy. This is straight eagle, man. This is straight eagle. This is straight eagle, man. They call it a Mexican eagle. Yeah, man. Just continue from your heritage. Now with that, we're going to go ahead and run this back. And we're going to go ahead and get into the lesson that was prepared by the Spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shah. All right.
The interest of the larger community is better served.
Why?
Mr. Spivey put it best. For the good of the larger community.
I assume the community we were primarily concerned with was the Catholic community. In this case, the people within my church.
spoken to you about this before. The church will not tolerate pagan traditions and practices, yet you refuse to speak out against it in your sermons.
Santeria is the religion of their ancestors. It can be traced back through Puerto Rico, Cuba, and the Yoruba people of ancient Africa before even the time of Christ.
Yes, and that is why our Lord sent down his only Son to save their heathen souls.
They have accepted him. They keep their ancestors alive by combining their identities with our saints.
This is not acceptable. This is God's first commandment. Now they must choose whether they are pagans or Catholics.
Now, who's giving the God's commandments? The Israelites. Esau, I mean, it's right in front of your face, man. I mean, it's like taking candy from a baby, man. So these was the words that's why you was cursed. Let's go back one more time. Because you didn't keep his commandments. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of Yahweh thy power, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee. These be the words spoken unto who? All Israel. This is the book of Deuteronomy. What's the first thing said in the book of Deuteronomy? According to the first chapter, first verse, these be the words which Moses spake unto all Israel. Verse 15 of the 28th chapter, it says, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of Yahweh, thy power, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee, only you, this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Like, we can't, man. You can't get around it. Real quick. Amos 3:1. How does this fit you if you're not Israelites? It says, Amos 3:1, hear this word that the Lord, that Yahweh, has spoken against you. Let's find out who. O children of Israel. You're the descendants. You're literally the descendants, the grandchildren of Israel, man. Yasha Allah. Princes of the power, man. Yashar Rallah, Yashar Allah, Yashar being prince, Allah being God, prince of God. What does God mean? Power. See? What does it say right there? Strong's definition. He will rule as God. But you want to be goddamn cleaning toilets. You want to be scrubbing floors. Your ass want to be driving Ubers and Lyfts, delivering pizzas, cutting up pork in delis, working at banks, counting the green faces with the white man on it with your shirt tucked in, trying to look like him, cut off from your heritage, looking down on your brethren, so-called Negroes, so-called Native American Indians, and so-called other Latinos. We messed up, man. You're children of Yasha Allah, man. Amos 3:1, hear this word that the Lord, that Yahweh has spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the whole family which I brought up from the land of Egypt, saying, you only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore, I will punish you for all your iniquities. There you go, man. So, the Father only know the Israelites, man. This is not a coincidence. Only so-called Native American Indians, Negroes, and Latinos are in the conditions they're in, man. Now, with that being said, there's one more thing I want to play from this. I'm gonna bring these scriptures out, man. So you sold out, real quick. Lord willing, it's edifying, man. Cause I know I get a lot of points. You know, I'm striving unto the mastery right now, so a lot of stuff ain't coming out perfect. When thou Israelites, when thou sittest to eat with a ruler, consider diligently what is before thee. He wasn't just doing that in the video. You didn't do that back in the 1800s. And put a knife to thy throat if thou be a man given to appetite. You know, food for thought. If you just open to anything you hear when it comes to anybody, you know, especially a ruler, You need to put a damn throat. I mean, a knife to your throat, and you got a belly in your mind, right? You just need to cut it off upstairs. Be not desirous of his dainties, for they are deceitful meat. See that? But nah, you want to do this, verse 4. Labor not to be rich. You want to labor to be rich. The scriptures say, labor not to be rich. Cease from thy own wisdom. See? It says, wilt thou set thine eyes upon that which is not? It's false, it's vanity, it's empty. It's nothing nutrient about the American dream. You're dying trying to come over here, and when you come over here, you die. So you're dying just to come over here and die. This is not your rest, man. It says, for riches certainly make themselves wings, that they, once again, for riches certainly make themselves wings. They fly away as an eagle toward heaven. Oh, man. Eat not the bread of him that hath an evil eye. This is going into Israel dealing with Esau for year and decade after decade, century after century. Eat not the bread of him that hath an evil eye, neither desire thou his dainty meats. For as he thinketh in his mind, so is he. Eat and drink, saith he to thee, but his heart is not with thee. And that's what happened. He came and he told you peace, and he did verse 10. It says, remove not the old landmark. See, that's against the script. You're not supposed to remove landmarks, man. That's in the law. What did he do? He came in here and he claimed dibs to saying he discovered America by you greeting him and bringing him in because he was a ruler and you desired what he had because he lied and acted like you were on equal playing grounds when he wanted to kill you the whole time. And I didn't bring this out. Psalms. Because we gotta get all the crap out of the mind. You know? Can't even get into the lesson. It says, let me start at verse 8. Psalm 17 and 8. Keep me as the apple of the eye. Keep me as the apple of the eye. Hide me under the shadow of thy wings. The me being the Israelite, the thy being the Most High, his wings. From the wicked that oppress me, from my deadly enemies who compass me about. Right? Let me jump down. Verse 13 is my point. Psalm 17 and 13. It says, arise, O Lord, arise, O Yahweh, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. See that? Verse 14, from men which are thy hand, O Yahweh, from men of the world which have their portion in this life. It's talking about Esau, whose belly thou fillest with thy hid treasure. They are full of children and leave the rest of their substance to their babes. But anyway, the wicked, it says, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Who runs the earth? So the so-called white man that run the earth, he's the wicked. And that same wicked is also said to be the sword of the Most High. He's the punishment tool of the Most High. For the Israelites who want to play with the Lord back in the ancient times, now he's punishing everybody and humbling everybody. He's humbled even the heathen nations. Right? The Most High made Esau. He's the Leviathan. He's the Godzilla. Right? Even if Godzilla is sitting in the water, which we believe and we don't doubt, it could, you know, but the scriptures do say that Esau is the Leviathan. Leviathan is where you get the so-called character called Godzilla in the movie. That's likened unto Esau, this big unstoppable monster that only the Lord, only the Creator could take down, which would only make sense because nothing else can stop him. Now, that's that. Now I can get through this and get to it. So ultimately, I'm saying you sold out. You so-called Puerto Ricans, Guatemalans, Argentinians, Chileans, Uruguayans, Native American Indians. You was making pacts with this damn so-called white man, this Edomite man, Esau, your twin brother, the elder, who's gonna serve you. Once his kingdom go down, as you can see right now with the coronavirus spread and everything shutting down, the Most High is going to further punish all the Israelites that didn't want to wake up to this truth. And then ultimately we're going to rule, and you will see us as Yasha Allah. He that will rule as God, that will rule as power. When the Messiah come back, don't you know he's of your lineage, your blood, your race? He's an Israelite. He comes from Israel. He's from the tribe of Judah. All brothers, the same one nation. Your nation is an Israelite, man. You're from the land of Israel. From Yasha Allah, man. You're not from the Americas. You're not from Mexico. You're not a Chicano. You're not an Indian. You're not a damn Blackfoot Indian, whatever. You're not none of these things, man. You're not from Panama. You're not from PR. You're not Taino. You're not Chicano. You're none of that. You don't worship Santa Maria. You don't do that, man. And this has been your downfall. And this is one way that you've proved that you're Jacob, a.k.a. Israel. Look at this, man. Look at all these idol worship. The Lord. And then look, if you peep that in the back, that's the Black Madonna. What's she doing black, man? So-called black, melanated woman. See that? Keep going.
Are you going to let them take it?
Esau put all type of truth in this, man.
Me? Decisions of this magnitude are made by the Archdiocese. And their recommendations for the saint to be moved.
And this guy represents a sellout when he know his people. You know, he's supposed to be for the great good of his people. He is a sellout. It's Jake.
Is it because we share the saints? Yes.
See? Look at this, man. He said, is it because we share the saints? They're saints.
Is it because...
Look at that, man. What is that? We're the Israelites, man. They telling you. You so-called Latinos, Native American Indians, Negroes, you're the Israelites, man. But this is about the Latinos.
Because we share the saints.
See that? Is it because we share the saints? Meaning what? We're all Israelites.
Saints.
They know they're the same people as the so-called Negroes. Look at this, man.
Yes. Perhaps in part.
Part, meaning the tribe.
Please understand, I don't agree with the decision to move the saint. But I took a vow to the church. I must be obedient.
What is church in the Greek? Ecclesia, meaning the assembly or the gathering together of the Israelites. So only Israelites can have church. Everyone's taken our heritage, right, and turned it into a damn business, a show, a damn building, and a so-called religion. And they actually brainwashed the true Israelites of the earth. And that's why this place is going down in the manner you see with this coronavirus. The NBA shut down. The NCAA shut down. They're not having the St. Patrick's Day parade, which is, it breaks their historical record for like 248 or 268 years consecutively. And so-called, and then your people are also the saints. We're the real Irish. That goes back to the Scots, the Stuarts. The Irish who moved to Scotland. The Scots who moved to the Irish who moved to Scotland. Who are Stuarts. Black people. We're the real saints. So Esau just stole every goddamn thing and just twisted us and taught us his lies. That's why his kingdom going down. That's your lie right there. Caesar Borgia. And you notice that in the back, so-called CNI. See that? C.J. Borgia right here. Caesar Borgia. The son of the Pope. Rodrigo Borgia.
Santeria has accepted the saints.
And that's why the Lord sent you over here and you bugged out and you're in the conditions you are. But further proving that you're the Israelites. You're Jacob.
Who cannot accept the orations. Where did you grow up? Right?
See that? Spiritual. Your own people. That's what you doing in Judah. But they showing you y'all the same people.
Please, let them enter. Let them through.
That's why we're always put together in the ghettos. And just because they look like so-called Negroes, they could actually be so-called Latinos. It could be of the Northern Kingdom. All the tribes look alike. Don't let Esau fool you. And you know what? By the Spirit, I'm going to probably do a part 2. Because everything I've done by this has actually been by the Spirit. And we're going on an hour. So I'm going to do another one. Part 2. And it's going to be heavier. Because it's already put together. It's lined up. And we're going to actually go into proving in the scriptures more how you prove to be like your ways of life, everything. We're going to actually go into who you are and who you've been with more documentation, and more scriptures. We're going to do a volume 2. That's what we're going to do, a volume 2. So more history, all right? More defending the gospel, because it's good news that you know you're Israelite now. And the kingdom of heaven is only for you. The Lord is only coming back for you, right? You're not a Mexican. You're not a wetback. You're not a spick. You're not a damn Indian. You're not a Puerto Rican. You're not a Cuban, a Guatemalan, Argentinian, a Chilean, a Uruguayan. You're none of these things, man. You're an Israelite. Children of God only. And if you don't like it, you will be destroyed. Unless the Father wants to keep you. So we're going to do a volume 2 to this, but we're going to finish this out. And I'm gonna get some on this too, because they keep showing the music and the references to the instruments, right? Which is of Israelite customs as well. Which will be the perfect segue for what volume 2 is dealing with, the customs of you people who are Israelites, Latinos, so-called. The bugged out saints. The cursed Israelites. The only true spiritual people on the earth that just make up their own inventions.
Why are you letting them take our Oshun away?
Idols. Serving other people's gods. That's in the scriptures. Let's keep going. See, look. Israelite. praying to that. A straight Jake right there. Look at the nose. Look at the skin. Look at everything, man. Look at her hair. Look at these people, man. These are Israelites. The same people with so-called Native Negroes, so-called Native American Indians. All the same damn people spread across the four corners of the earth. Bug the hell out. Knowing that they know the true power, you just been discontinued from it. So you just going about it, getting it back, and having it in the most artificial, tainted ways you can think of. I mean, that's why you have to be destroyed and brought back, recreated. System malfunction. All white. That's in the scriptures. Let me see. You know what? And those so-called Latinos, man. They come in all different shapes. See if I can get this. Yeah, we're gonna do a part 1 of this, man. This is gonna be volume 1. Bear with me. I ain't brought this out in a minute. Let's see. It might be. I think the 18th. You know what? That's that white raiment. This ain't what I want, but I'm going to get this real quick. Revelation 4:4. And around the throne, and around about the throne were 24 seats. And upon the seats I saw 24 elders sitting clothed in white raiment. Right? And they had on their heads crowns of gold. That's what you just seen in the video. But let me get what I was looking for. She had a full body of gold on white. She had a crown on. Let me see. Let me see. Let's see. All right. Let's see. I think it's the 18th chapter. Let's try that. Salakia. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Okay. Let's see. This is it. I can't find the scripture I'm looking for. This might be in this. Okay, here we go. It says, man, I can't even find the scripture. I mean, that's cool. I got the one. At least showing that reference. Let's see. Said they were gonna be arrayed in white. Arrayed in white. It's kind of hard looking through this one. Salakia. Let me get this real quick. I gotta get this. Revelation. No, that ain't it. Okay, here we go. That white and gold, all you see the white and gold references just go back to the scriptures super heavy. Revelation 15:6, and the 7 angels came out of the temple, having the 7 plagues, clothed in pure and white linen, and having their breasts girded with golden girdles. Here we go. That's what I was looking for. Revelation 19:8. It says, and to her, who's the her? That's Israelites, was granted that she should be arrayed in fine linen. That means dressed, decorated, clean and white. See that? That's it, man. That's what I was looking for. And this is another one, Revelation. This is the other one I was looking for. And white robes were given unto everyone. I'm trying that should be it, but no, that's not what I was looking for. I'm looking for this one. Revelation 7:7-9. After this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and people. That's the elect gathered from the 4 corners of the earth. That thought they were Guatemalans, Panamanians, damn native Indians, Negroes, Irish. Crazy. All the Israelites gathered together. That's that great multitude, which no man could number, of all nations. Why? Because the Israelites were scattered into all nations and kindreds and people and tongues. Do Negroes speak the same language as Cubans? No. That's what a tongue represents. Let's see if Esau gonna be a devil. There you go. Galasius, like glossary, glossia, glossisa. It says the language or dialect used by a particular people, distinct from that of other nations. So that's what tongue goes into. It's talking about languages. So you niggas in the church talking about, and you ask them what they say, they can't tell you because they being damn devils. They damn demons. That's all it is. It's not a tongue. Like, what are you talking about? It says Revelation 7:9. They don't know, but Revelation 7:9. And I beheld John the Baptist, but not John the Baptist, John the so-called Revelator, as the Edomite scholars like to say, right? John the Revelator. After this, I beheld, and lo, a great multitude which no man could number. That sounds like the Israelites, because you can't we're like the sand of the sea and the stars of the earth. I mean, the stars of the sky. You can't number those things, right? Of all nations, because you've been scattered everywhere. James 1:1. It says, and kindreds, and other, and I believe Jeremiah 50:17 tells you this as well, or 50:7, or 51:7, or 51:17. One of those. Jeremiah. It says, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues stood before the thrones, the throne, and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and psalms in their hands. Now, my point being, Revelation 19:8, and to her was granted that she should be arrayed in fine linen. So only Israelites, that's that she. The scriptures tell you that the Most High woman is Israel, clean and white, for the fine linen. It says, for the fine linen is the righteousness of saints. Now, scriptures say the Most High has likened Israel to a delicate and comely woman. See if I can find that real quick. I have likened Israel let's get this Hosea 3:1. It says, then said Yahweh unto me, go, yet love a woman, beloved of her friend, yet an adulteress. See that? According to the love of Yahweh towards the children of Israel, who took to other gods and love of flagons of wine. And that's like a flagon of wine. It says something closely pressed together as a cake arising of conference of. Basically, you're getting into different philosophies, man. Right? You're being drunk off of that. Ezekiel 36:17. Son of man, when the house of Israel dwelt in their own land, you so-called Latinos, right? Northern Kingdom, they defiled it, meaning Israel, by their own way. Because you went off, started doing your own things. And by their doings, their way was before me as the uncleanness of a removed woman. The scriptures, the Most High always compare Israel to the woman. So that's that woman, man. It says, and had not eaten the mountain upon idols to the idols of the house of Israel. Ezekiel 18:6. And have not eaten upon the mountains, neither lifted up his eyes to the idols of the house of Israel, neither hath defiled his neighbor's wife, neither have come near to a mistress woman. Right? So the fathers don't even want to deal with you no more, at this point. He's going to destroy you, then deal with you. It says, therefore, now thus saith Yahweh, the God of Israel. No, that's not what I want to lock you. I really want to get, that's that main one. Liking Israel to a There we go. Jeremiah 6:2. I have likened the daughter of Zion to a comely and delicate woman. Now let's go back. (19:8). It says, Revelation 19:8. And to her, who's that her? Jeremiah. What was that? 6:2. I have likened the daughter of Zion to a comely and delicate woman. Right? Let's go back. Revelation 19:8. And to her was granted that she should be arrayed in fine linen, clean and white, for the linen is the righteousness of saints. So that her is talking about Israel. And then when you go into the saints is only the Israelites, man. See that? Crazy.
The church phone said you left 25 minutes ago. I hope you were extremely careful moving this step.
And that would be a church. See? With the gold, the crowns, flapping a wing in his hand there, arrayed in the fine white. Look at that, man. The Israelites, the saints, the woman. See that? These are the children of Yasha Allah, man. You're the children. The Latinos prove because this whole part on this movie is about Latinos, so-called. You prove you're Jacob.
Said you left 25 minutes ago. I hope you were extremely careful moving this statue.
See, Esau. There's one part in this movie I want to get. It showed them in the church, bugged out in the building, bugged out. So-called. And this is how you get
Pick up a 6-pack of Michelob Ultra Pure Gold. We'll help transition 6 square feet of farmland to a...
I gotta hurry cut this off. I'll run out of space. This is how you get CJ Borgia. See? Caesar Ray Borgia. Here we go. Look at this. Look at this. You're the Israelites, man. Latinos have proved that they Jacob, man. Eating the bread of the body. Jake being a priest. Look at this. But in the building. You went off with idols, man. He said you the works you did in your land was like the uncleanness of a woman, man. You're talking about the cycle. When a woman on her menstrual. See that? That's how filthy the northern kingdom was. That's why you were sent all the way to the western hemisphere. And when the Lord came, so-called Jesus, Yahweh Shai, only the Jews was left over there. Because the fathers wanted you completely gone because you was bugging out the worst. You know, but the southern kingdom came nothing of short by delivering the Lord up to be crucified. So we're all finished. Jake's bread of the body. No beard on his face. So-called Latinos. Look, she bugged out. See that? You're bugged out. Latinos prove that they're Jacob. And he see what he's doing is not right. So, if you don't come back into this truth, man, that's ultimately what's going to be your demise, man. We're going to close out. Until you can go watch that on your own. Let's get this real quick. I always forget that. Let me get this real quick, though. John 4:24, man. John 4:24. It says, God, or Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. So when you ain't doing that, man, you liable to have demons jump on you and stay discontinued from your heritage when you in truth and in fact, you know, because this lesson is only out to you so-called Native American Indians, Latinos, and Negroes, you know, when you in fact and in truth are an Israelite. That's what you're subject to having happen to you. And I want to get one last scripture. What's that? They learned that that works. What's that? Psalms. Put that in there. This is Psalms 30. No, that ain't it. Psalms. Learned that that works. Put that written down somewhere. Psalms and all this came from dealing with Esau. Yeah, Psalms 106 and 35. It was 35 something. Now, this is talking about Israel, man. This whole thing, see? Moses, they envied Moses, also in the camp, and Aaron, the saint of Yahweh. The only Israelites are the saints. It says, they forgot God, their Savior, which had done great things in Egypt. Psalms 106 and 35, Salakia. Let me get this 106 and it's talking about Israel, man. This is crazy. This fits perfect. It says they made 106 and 19 Psalms. They made a calf in Horeb and worshipped the molten image. Thus they changed their glory into the similitude of an ox that eateth grass. They forgot God, they forgot power, the power of their Savior, which had done great things in Egypt. Wondrous works in the land of Ham, and terrible things by the Red Sea. They said, verse 24, yeah, they despised the pleasant land. Yeah, they despised the pleasant land. They believed not his word, but murmured in their tents and hearkened not unto the voice of Yahweh. And that's by his prophets. It says, therefore he lifted up his hand against them to overthrow them in the wilderness, to overthrow their seed also among the nations, and to scatter them in the lands. Proving that in Revelation. They joined themselves unto Baal Peor and ate the sacrifices of the dead. Thus they provoked him to anger with their inventions, and the plague brake in upon them. See? They stood up. Phineas executed judgment, so the plague was stayed, and that was counted unto him for righteousness. It said, no, then stood up Phineas and executed judgment. So the plague was stayed. And that's when I believe the Israelite who caught the goddamn Israelite man laying with the heathen, who the father told us not to deal with, and he put the javelin through both of them. That's they were in the act. It says, and that was counted unto him for righteousness unto all generations forevermore. They angered him also at the waters of strife, so that it went ill with Moses for their sakes, because they provoked his spirit, so that he spake unadvisedly with his lips. They did not destroy the nations concerning who Yahweh commanded them, but were mingled among the heathen and learned their works, thus making that pact, that flag, thus selling out, thus letting Esau come into all these lands, man, of the Hispaniola, South America and North America, and Gad too, and they served their idols, which were a snare unto them. So there you go, man. Let me get this, verse 39. Thus they were defiled with their own works, and went a-whoring with their own inventions. Therefore was the wrath of Yahweh kindled against his people, insomuch that he abhorred his own inheritance, and gave them into the hand of the heathen, and they that hated them ruled over them. All right, so there you go, man. We're gonna go ahead and close out with that. Hope this has been edifying with that. I'm gonna say all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah, Ba'ashem Rakah Akudash, double honors to the apostles and elders of great millstone who rule well. Shalom wa barakim ha'aman ba'kiyar, which is to say peace and blessings to the faithful elect of Yasha Allah, which is Hebrew for Israel. And with that, I'm going to say shalom.